The tent of meeting. Now Moses used to take a tent and pitch it outside the camp, some distance away, calling it the tent of meeting. Anyone inquiring of the Lord would go to the tent of meeting outside the camp. And when Moses went out to the tent, all the people rose and stood at the entrances to their tents, watching Moses until he entered the tent. As Moses went into the tent, the pillar of cloud would come down and stay at the entrance while the Lord spoke with Moses. Whenever the people saw the pillar of cloud standing at the entrance of the tent, they all stood and worshipped, each at the entrance to their tent. The Lord would speak to Moses face to face, as one speaks to a friend. Then Moses would return to the camp, but his young aide Joshua, son of Nun, did not leave the tent. Moses and the glory of the Lord. Moses said to the Lord, "You have been telling me, lead these people, but you have not let me know whom you assumed with me. I have said, I know you by name, and you have found favor with me. If you are pleased with me, teach me your ways, so I may know you and continue to find favor with you. Remember that this nation is your people." The Lord replied, "My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest." Then Moses said to him, "If your presence does not go with me, do not send us up from here. How will anyone know that you were pleased with me and with your people unless you go with us? What else will distinguish me and your people from all the other people on the face of the earth?" And the Lord said to Moses, "I will do everything you have asked because I am pleased with you, and I know you by name." Then Moses says, "Now, show me your glory." And the Lord said, "I will cause my goodness to pass in front of you, and I will proclaim my name, the Lord, in your presence. I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion." But he said, "You cannot see my face, for no one may see me and live." And the Lord said, "There is a place near me where you may stand on a rock. When my glory passes by, I will put you in a cleft in the rock and cover you with my hand until I have passed by. Then I will remove my hand, and you will see my back, but my face must not be seen." The new stone tablets. The Lord said to Moses, "Chisel out 2 stone tablets like the first one. I will write on them the words that were on the first tablets which you broke. Be ready in the morning, then come up on Mount Sinai. Present yourself to me there on the top of the mountain. No one is to come with you or be seen anywhere near the mountain. Not even the flocks and herds may graze in front of the mountain." So Moses chiseled out 2 stone tablets like the first one, and went up to Mount Sinai early in the morning, as the Lord commanded him. He carried the 2 stone tablets in his hand, and the Lord came down in a cloud and stood there with him, and proclaimed his name, the, the Lord. And he passed in front of Moses, proclaiming, the Lord, compassionate and gracious, God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness, maintaining love to thousands, and forgiving wickedness, rebellion, and sin. Yet he does not leave the guilty unpunished, and he punishes the children and their children for the sin of the parents to the third and fourth generation. Moses bowed to the ground at once and worshipped. "Lord," he said, "if I have found favor in your eyes, then let the Lord go with us. Although this is a stiff-necked people, forgive our wickedness and our sin, and take us as your inheritance." Then the Lord said, "I am making a covenant with you before all your people. I will do wonders never done before in any nation of all the world. The people you live among will see how awesome is the work that the Lord will do for you. Obey what I command you to do, and I will drive out before you the Amorites, Canaanites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. Be careful not to make treaty with those who live in the land where you are going, or they will be a snare among you. Break down their altars, smash their sacred stones, and cut down their Asherah poles. Do not worship any other god, for the Lord, whose name is a jealous God. Be careful not to make treaty with those who live in the land, for when they prostitute themselves to their gods and sacrifice to them, they will invite you and you will eat their sacrifices. And when you choose one of their daughters as wives for your sons, and those daughters prostitute themselves to their gods, they will lead your sons to do the same. Do not make any idols. Celebrate the festival of unleavened bread for 7 days, and eat bread made without yeast, as I commanded you. Do this at the appointed time in the mount of Aviv, for in that month you came out of Egypt. The first offspring of every woman belongs to me, including all the firstborn males of your livestock, rather from herd or flock. Redeem the firstborn donkey with the lamb, but if you do not redeem it, break its neck and redeem all your firstborn sons. No one is to appear before me empty-handed. 6 days you shall labor, but on the seventh day you shall rest. Even during the plowing season and harvest you must rest. Celebrate the festival of weeks with the first fruits of the wheat harvest, and the festival of ingathering at the turn of the year. 3 times a year, all your men are to appear before the sovereign Lord, the God of Israel, and I will drive out nations before you and enlarge your territory, and no one will convey the land where you go up 3 times each year to appear before the Lord your God. Do not offer blood sacrifices to me along with anything containing yeast. Do not let any of the sacrifice from the Passover festival remain until morning. Bring the best of the first fruits of your soil to the house of the Lord your God. Do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. Then the Lord said to Moses, write down these words, for in accordance with these words I have made a covenant with you and with Israel. Moses was there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights without eating bread or drinking water. Then he wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 Commandments. The radiant face of Moses. When Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets of the covenant law in his hand, he was not aware that his face was radiant because he had spoken with the Lord. When Aaron and all the Israelites saw Moses, his face was radiant, and they were afraid to come near him. But Moses called to them, so Aaron and all the leaders of the community came back to him, and he spoke to them. Afterward, all the Israelites came near him, and he gave them all the commandments the Lord had given him on Mount Sinai. When Moses finished speaking to them, he put a veil over his face, but whenever he entered the Lord's presence to speak with him, he removed the veil until he came out. And when he came out and told the Israelites what he had been commanded, they saw that his face was radiant. Then Moses would put the veil back over his face until he went to speak with the Lord. Sabbath regulations. Moses assembled the whole Israelite community and said to them, these are the things the Lord commanded you to do. For 6 days work is to be done, but on the seventh day shall be your holy day, the day of Sabbath rest to the Lord. Whoever does any work on it is to be put to death. Do not light a fire in any of your dwellings on the Sabbath day. Materials for the tabernacle. Moses said to the whole Israelite community, this is what the Lord has commanded. From what you have, take an offering for the Lord. Everyone who is willing to bring to the Lord an offering of gold, silver, and bronze, blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and fine lining, goat hair, ram skins dyed red, and any other type of durable leather, acai wood, olive oil for the light, spices for the anointing oil, and for the fragrant incense, and onyx stones and other gems to be mounted on the ephod and the breastpiece. All who are skilled among you are to come and make everything the Lord has commanded. The tabernacle with its tent and its covering, clasps, frames, crossbars, posts, and bases, and the ark with its poles, and the atonement cover, and the curtain that shields it. The tabernacle with its poles and all its articles, and the bread of the presence, and the lampstand that is for light, with its accessory lamps, and the oil for the light, the altar of incense with its poles, the anointing oil, and the fragrance incense, the curtain for the doorway at the entrance of the tabernacle, the altar of burnt offerings with its bronze grating, its poles and all its utensils, the bronze basin with its stands, the curtains of the courtyard with its posts and bases, and the curtain for the entrance to the courtyard, its tent pegs for the tabernacle, and the courtyard and the ropes. The woven garments worn for ministering in the sanctuary, both sacred garments for Aaron, the priest, and the garments for his sons when they serve as priests. When the whole Israelite community withdrew from Moses' presence, and everyone who was willing and whose heart moved with them came and brought an offering to the Lord for the work of the tent of meeting, for all its service. And for the sacred garments, all who were willing, men and women alike, came and brought the gold jewelry of all kinds, brooches, earrings, rings, and ornaments. They all presented their gold as a wave offering to the Lord. Everyone who had blue, purple, or scarlet yarn, or fine linen, or goat hair, ram skins, dyed red, or the other durable leather brought them. Those for those presenting an offering of silver or bronze brought it as an offering to the Lord, and everyone who had acai wood for any part of the work brought it. Every skilled woman spun with her hands and brought what she had spun, blue, purple, or scarlet yarn or fine linen, and all the women who were willing and had the skill spun the goat hair. The leaders brought onyx stones and the other gems to be mounted on the ephod and the breastpiece. They also brought spices and olive oil for the light, and for the anointing oil, and for the fragrant incense. All the Israelite men and women who were willing brought to the Lord freewill offerings for all the work the Lord through Moses had commanded them to do. Bezalel and Olibab, Eliab. Then Moses said to the Israelites, "See, the Lord has chosen Bezalel, son of Uri, the son of Hur, in the tribe of Judah, and he has filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom, with understanding, with knowledge, and with all kinds of skills, to make artistic designs for work in gold, silver, and bronze, to cut set stones, to work in wood, and to engage in all kinds of artistic crafts. And he has given both him and Oliab, son of Ishmael, the tribe of Dan, the ability to teach others. He has filled them with the skill to do all kinds of work as engravers, designers, embroiderers, and blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and fine linen and weavers. All of them all of them skilled workers and designers. So Bezalel and Oliab and every skilled person to whom the Lord has given the skill and ability to know how to carry out all the work constructing the sanctuary or to do the work just as the Lord has commanded. Then Moses summoned Bezalel and Oliab and every skilled person to whom the Lord had given the ability and who was willing to come and do the work. They received from Moses all the offerings the Israelites had brought to carry out the work of constructing the sanctuary, and all the people continued to bring free will offerings morning after morning. So all the skilled workers who were doing all the work on the sanctuary left what they were doing and said to Moses, "The people were bringing more than enough for doing the work the Lord commanded to be done." Then Moses gave an order, and they sent this word throughout the camp: "No man or woman is to make anything else as an offering for the sanctuary." And so the people were restrained from bringing more, because what they had already had was more than enough to do all the work. The tabernacle. All those who were skilled among the workers made the tabernacle with 10 curtains of finely twisted linen, blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, with cherubim woven into them by expert hands. All the curtains were the same size, 28 cubits long and 4 cubits wide. They joined 5 of the curtains together and did the same with the other 5. Then they made loops of blue material along the edge of the end curtain in one set, and the same was done with the end curtain in the other set. They also made 50 loops of one curtain and 50 loops at the end of the other set, with the loops opposite each other. Then they made 50 gold clasps and used them to fasten the 2 sets of curtains together, so that the tabernacle was a unit. They made curtains of goat hair for the tent over the tabernacle, 11 altogether. All 11 curtains were the same size, 30 cubits long and 4 cubits wide. They joined 5 of the cubits into one set, and the other 6 into another set. Then they made 50 loops along the edge of the end curtain in one set, and also along the edge of the end curtain in another set. They made 50 bronze clasps to fasten the tent together as a unit. Then they made the tent a covering of ram skins, dyed red, and over that a covering of other durable leather. They made upright frames of acai wood for the tabernacle. Each frame was 10 cubits long and a cubit and a half wide, with 2 projections set parallel to each other. They made all the frames of the tabernacle in this way. They made 20 frames for the south side of the tabernacle and made 40 silver bases to go under them, 2 bases for each frame, one under each projection for the other side. The north side of the tabernacle, they made 20 frames and 40 silver bases, 2 under each frame. They made 6 frames for the far end, that is the west end of the tabernacle, and 2 frames were made for the corners of the tabernacle at the far end. These 2 corner frames were double from the bottom all the way to the top and fitted into a single ring. Both were made alike, so there were 8 frames and 16 silver bases, 2 under each frame. They also made crossbars of SIA wood, 5 for the frames on one side of the tabernacle, and 5 for those on the other side, and 5 for the frames on the west and at the far end of the tabernacle. They made the center crossbar so that it extended from end to end, the middle of the frames. They overlaid the frames with gold and made gold rings to hold the crossbars. They also overlaid the crossbars with gold. They made the curtain of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn and finely twisted line of cherubim woven into it by a skilled worker. They made 4 posts of SIA wood for it and overlaid them with gold. They made gold hooks for them and cast their 4 silver bases for the entrance to the tent. They made a curtain of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn and finely twisted lining, the work of an embroiderer, and they made 5 posts with hooks for them. They overlaid the tops of the posts and their bands with gold and made their 5 bases of bronze. the ark. Then Bezalel made the ark of Asai wood, 2.5 cubits long and a cubit and a half wide, and a cubit and a half high. He overlaid it with pure gold, both inside and out, and gold made a gold molding around it. He cast 4 gold rings and fastened them to its 4 feet, with 2 rings on one side and 2 rings on the other. Then he made poles of Asai wood and overlaid them with gold. And he entered the poles into the rings on the sides of the ark to carry it. He made the atonement cover of pure gold, 2.5 cubits long and a cubit and a half wide. Then he made 2 cherubim out of hammered gold at the ends of the cover. He made 1 cherubim on one end and the second cherubim on the other. At the 2 ends he made them one piece with the cover. The cherubim had their wings spread upward, overshadowing the cover with them. The cherubim faced each other, looking toward the cover. The table. They made the table of Asai wood, 2 cubits long and a cubit wide and a cubit and a half high. They overlaid it with pure gold and made a gold mounting around it. They also made it a rim a handbreadth wide and put a gold molding on the rim. They cast 4 gold rings for the table and fastened them to the 4 corners where the 4 legs were. The rings were put close to the rim to hold the poles used in carrying the table. The poles for carrying the table were made of Asai wood and were overlaid with gold, and they made pure gold from the articles for the table, its plates and dishes and bowls, and its pitchers for the pouring out of drink offerings. The lampstand. They made the lampstand of pure gold. They hammered out its base and shaft and made its flower-like cups, buds and blossoms of one piece with them. 6 branches extended from the sides of the lampstand, 3 on one side and 3 on the other. The 3 cups shaped like almond flowers with buds and blossoms were on one branch, 3 on the next branch, and the same for all 6 branches extending from the lampstand. And on one lampstand were 4 cups shaped like almond flowers with buds and blossoms. One bud was under the first pair of branches extending from the lampstand, a second bud under the second pair, and a third bud under the third pair. 6 branches in all. The buds and branches were all of one piece with the lampstand hammered out of pure gold. They made it 7 lampstands as well as its wick trimmers and trays of pure gold. They made the lampstand and all its accessories from 1 talent of pure gold. The altar of incense. They made an altar of incense of Asai wood. It was square, a cubit long, and a cubit wide, 2 cubits high, its horns of one piece with it. They overlaid the top and all the sides and the horns with pure gold and made a gold molding around it. They made 2 gold rings below the molding, 2 on each of the opposite sides to hold the poles used to carry it. They made the poles of Asai wood and overlaid them with gold. They also made the sacred anointing oil, pure fragrant incense to pure and fragrant incense, the work of a perfumer. The altar of burnt offering. They built the altar of burnt offering of Asai wood, 3 cubits high. It was square, 5 cubits long, and 5 cubits wide. They made a horn at each of the 4 corners, so that the horns in the altar were of one piece. They overlaid the altar with bronze, and they made all its utensils of bronze, its pots, shovels, sprinkling bowls, meat forks, and fire pans. They made a grating for the altar, a bronze network to be under its ledge. Halfway up the altar, they cast bronze rings to hold the poles for the 4 corners of the bronze grating. They made the poles of Asai wood and overlaid them with bronze. They inserted the poles into the rings so they would be on the sides of the altar carrying it, and they made it hollow out of boards. The basin for washing. They made the bronze basin and its bronze stand from the mirrors of the woman who served at the entrance to the tent of meeting. The courtyard. Next, they made the courtyard. The south side was 100 cubits long and it had curtains of finely twisted lining with 20 posts and 20 bronze bases, and with silver hooks and bands on the post. The north side was also 100 cubits long and 20 posts and 20 bronze bases with silver hooks and bands on the post. The west end was 50 cubits wide and had curtains with 10 posts and 10 bases with silver books and bands on the post. The east end toward the sunrise was also 50 cubits wide. Curtains 15 cubits long were on one side of the entrance with 3 posts and 3 bases. The curtains And curtains 15 cubits long were on the other side of the entrance to the courtyard, with 3 posts and 3 bases. All the curtains around the courtyards were finely twisted lining. The bases of the posts were bronze, the hooks and bands of the posts were silver, and their tops overlaid with silver. So all the posts of the courtyard had silver bands. The curtain for the entrance to the courtyard was made of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn and finely twisted lining, the work of an embroiderer. It was 20 cubits long, and like the curtains of the courtyard, 5 cubits high, with the 4 posts and 4 bronze bases. Their hooks and bands were silver, and their tops were overlaid with silver, and all the tent pegs of the tabernacle and of the surrounding courtyard were bronze. The materials used. These are the amounts of the materials used for the tabernacle of the covenant law, which were recorded at Moses' command by the Levites under the direction of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest, Bezalel, son of Uri, the son of Hur, the tribe of Judah, made everything the Lord commanded Moses. With him was Oliab, the son of Ahisamach of the tribe of Dan, an engraver and designer and embroiderer in blue, purple, and scarlet yarn and fine linen. The total amount of gold from the wave offering used from all the work of the sanctuary was 29 talents and 730 shekels, according to the sanctuary shekel. The silver obtained from those of the community who were counted in the census was 100 talents and 1,775 shekels, according to the sanctuary shekel. 1 beka per person, that is half a shekel, according to the sanctuary shekel, from one who had crossed over to those who counted 20 years old or more, a total of 603,550 men. The 100 talents of silver were used to cast the bases for the sanctuary and for the curtain, 100 bases for the 100 talents, 1 talent for each base. They used the 1,775 shekels to make the hooks for the posts, to overlay the tops of the posts, and to make their bands. The bronze from the wave offering was 70 talents and 2,400 shekels. They used it to make the bases for the entrance to the tent of meeting, with bronze altar with its bronze grating and all its utensils, the bases for the surrounding courtyard, and those for its entrance, and all the tent pegs for the tabernacle, and those for surrounding the courtyard. The priestly garments. From the blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, they made woven garments for ministering the sanctuary. They also made sacred garments for Aaron, as the Lord commanded Moses. The ephod. They made the ephod of gold. They made the ephod of gold and of blue and scarlet yarn and of finely twisted lining. They hammered out thin sheets of gold and cut strands to be worked into the blue, purple, and scarlet yarn and fine lining, the work of skilled hands. They made shoulder pieces for the ephod, which were attached to 2 of its corners so it could be fastened. It is it is skilled Its skillfully woven waistband was like it, of one piece with the ephod made with gold, with and with blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and with finely twisted lining, as the Lord commanded Moses. They mounted the onyx stones and gold filigree settings, and engraved them like a seal with the names of the sons of Israel. Then they fastened them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod as memorial stones for the sons of Israel, as the Lord commanded Moses. The breastpiece. They fashioned the breastpiece, the work of skilled craftsmen. They made it like the ephod of gold and of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and of finely twisted lining. It was square, a span long and a span wide, and folded double. Then they mounted 4 rows of precious stones on it. The first row was carnelian, chrysolite, and beryl. The second row was turquoise, lapis lazuli, and emerald. The third row was jacinth, agate, and amethyst. The fourth row was topaz, onyx, and jasper. These were These were mounted in gold filigree settings. They There were 12 stones, one for each of the names of the sons of Israel, each engraved like a seal with the name of one of the 12 tribes. For the breastpiece, they made braided chains of pure gold like a rope. They made 2 gold filigree settings and 2 gold rings, fastened the rings of the 2 corners of the breastpiece. They fastened the 2 gold chains to the rings at the corners of the breastpiece, and the other ends of the chains to the 2 settings, attaching them to the shoulder pieces of the ephod at the front. They made 2 gold rings and attached them to the other 2 corners of the breastpiece on the inside edge next to the ephod. Then they made two more gold rings and attached them to the bottom of the shoulder pieces on the front of the ephod, close to the seam just above the waistband of the ephod. They they tied the rings of the breastpiece to the rings of the ephod with blue cord, connecting it to the waistband so that the breastpiece would not swing from the ephod as the Lord commanded Moses. Other priestly garments. They made the robe out of the ephod entirely of blue cloth, the work of a weaver, with the opening in the center of a robe like an opening of a collar, and a band around its opening so that it would not tear. They made pomegranates of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and finely twisted lining around the hem of the robe, and they made bells of pure gold, attached them around the hem between the pomegranates, the bells, and the pomegranates altered around them. The hem of the robe is to be worn for ministering, as the Lord commanded Moses. For Aaron and his sons, they made tunics of fine linen, the work of a weaver, and the turban of fine linen, the linen caps and the undergarments of finely twisted linen. The sash was made for finely twisted linen and blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, the work of an embroiderer, as the Lord commanded Moses. They made the plate, the sacred emblem, out of pure gold, and engraved on it, like an inscription of the seal, holy to the Lord. Then they fastened a blue cord to it to attach it to the turban, as the Lord commanded Moses. Moses inspects the tabernacle. So all the work on the tabernacle, the tent of meeting, was completed. The Israelites did everything just as the Lord commanded Moses. Then they brought out the tabernacle to Moses, the tent and all its furnishings, its clasps, frames, crossbars, pots, and bases, the covering of ram skins dyed red, the covering of another durable leather, and the shielding curtain, the ark of the covenant law with its poles, and the atonement cover, and the table with all its articles, and the bread of the presence, the pure gold lampstand with its roll of lamps and all its accessories, and the olive oil for the light. The gold altar, the anointing oil, the fragrant incense, and the curtain for the entrance to the tent, the bronze altar with its bronze gratings, its poles and all its utensils, the basin with its stand, the curtains of the courtyard with its pots, bases, and curtains for the entrance to the courtyard, the ropes and tent pegs for the courtyard, and all the furnishings for the tabernacle, the tent of meeting and the woven garments worn for ministering in the sanctuary, both sacred garments for Aaron the priest, and the garments for his sons serving as priests. The Israelites had done all the work just as the Lord commanded Moses. Moses inspected the work, and what they saw that they had done just as the Lord commanded. So Moses blessed them, setting up the tabernacle. Then the Lord said to Moses, set up the tabernacle, the tent of meeting, on the first day of the first month. Place the ark of the covenant law in it, and shut the ark with the curtain. Bring in the table and set out what belongs on it. Bring in the lampstands and set up its lamps. Place the gold altar of incense in front of the ark of the covenant law, and put the curtain at the entrance to the tabernacle. Place the altar of burnt offering in front of the entrance to the tabernacle, the tent of meeting. Place the basin between the tent of meeting and the altar, and put water in it. Set up the courtyard around it, and put the curtain at the entrance to the courtyard. Take the anointing oil and anoint the tabernacle and everything in it. Consecrate it in all its furnishings, and it will be holy. Then anoint the altar of burnt offerings and all its utensils. Consecrate the altar, and it will be most holy. Anoint the basin and its stand, and consecrate them. Bring Aaron and his sons to the entrance of the tent of meeting, and wash them with water. Then dress Aaron in the sacred garments, anoint him and consecrate him so that he may serve me as priest. Bring his sons and dress them in tunics. Anoint them as you anointed their fathers, so they may serve me as priests. Their anointing will be a priesthood that will continue throughout their generations. Moses did everything just as the Lord commanded him. So the tabernacle was set up on the first day of the month in the second year. When Moses set up the tabernacle, he put the bases in place, erected the frames, and inserted the crossbars, and set up the posts. Then he spread the tent over the tabernacle and put the covering over the tent as the Lord commanded him. He took the tablets of the covenant law and placed them in the ark, attached the posts of the ark, and put the atonement cover over it. Then he brought the ark into the tabernacle and hung the shielding curtain and shielded the ark of the covenant law as the Lord commanded him. Moses placed a table in the tent of meeting on the north side of the tabernacle outside the curtain and set the bread on it before the Lord as the Lord commanded him. He placed the lampstand in the tent of meeting opposite the table on the south side of the tabernacle and set up lamps before the Lord as the Lord commanded him. Moses placed the gold altar in the tent of meeting in front of the curtain and burned fragrant incense on it as the Lord commanded him. Then he put up the curtain at the entrance to the tabernacle. He set up the altar of burnt offering near the entrance to the tabernacle, the tent of meeting, and he offered on it burnt offerings and grain offerings as the Lord commanded him. He placed the basin between the tent of meeting and the altar and put water in it for washing, and Moses and Aaron and his sons used it to wash their hands and feet. They washed whenever they entered the tent of meeting or approached the altar as the Lord commanded Moses. Then Moses set up the courtyard around the tabernacle and the altar and put up the curtain at the entrance of the tent to the courtyard, and so Moses finished the work. The glory of the Lord. Then the Lord covered the tent of meeting, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Moses could not enter the tent of meeting because the cloud had settled on it, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And all the travels of the Israelites, whenever the cloud lifted from above the tabernacle, they would set out. But if the cloud would not lift, they did not set out until the day it lifted. So the cloud of the Lord was over the tabernacle by day, and fire was in the cloud by night, in the sight of all the Israelites during their travels.